Wrong camera. There we go. Dang. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. I have a meeting in about an hour, so I'm only going to be here for like 30 minutes. I just wanted to take some time to talk to everybody. Morning, everybody. I am Ebia, Roxanne Martis, Brissa Aguilar. I'm doing great. How are you? So I'm just going to kind of dive into it. I'm going to post this on my stuff. As usual, there is a donation going on for the HealLosAngeles Foundation. No pressure whatsoever, but if you are in a given mood, all money is appreciated and greatly loved. You know, we're trying to spread a good message over here. So, and that's kind of what I want to talk about is, for a while, I really wanted to do like a podcast, you know, or a talk show or something like this, talking about controversial topics, just because I kind of like to get under people's skin, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's just immature thinking. And what I actually want to do is, I believe in personal growth, and that if you really want to change and you want to grow, I believe that you can. But if you don't, then you won't. So the whole purpose of having conversations with people is to understand the other side and to see a different way of thinking. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it means that you have a deeper understanding of their thought process. And this is something that I kind of learned in philosophy when I was at LMU. It was about trying to understand how the other person thinks. It's actually the Socratic method of argument, and it has to do with figuring out, like, it basically has to do with shutting down somebody else's argument, but that's not what this is for. This is actually just to understand where somebody else is coming from, so you can either better articulate your side of the argument, or you can better understand where they're coming from. So, you know, I want to talk about stuff that's not controversial. If it's controversial to you, I don't know what to tell you, all right? I'm just talking about stuff that I feel is very important to me as an individual, as a person, and as the son of Michael Jackson. And that's just what this is about. So the first conversation, or first kind of topic that I really want to talk about is compassion. And if I get emotional, it's because I care about this a lot. It's something that my father taught me, you know, having basic compassion for everyone and anyone. And I think it will open your eyes to a whole new world out there when you understand that we're all one and the same. You know, I had such a very in-depth conversation with TJ, Francis, and Dee Dee the other day about how it's not, you shouldn't belittle other people's problems. You know, some people are going through different struggles, and some, to you, their struggles may be more or less relative to your struggles. But let's just take you out of the equation, because their struggles are not your struggles. And the way they feel, and the way I explained it to Dee Dee, is someone that has the rent due versus someone that has, let's say, a test or homework due. The stress is relatively the same. And if you're a young child, you don't understand the necessity for rent being due. So the only stress that you have is having that homework due. So the levels of stress and anxiety that are caused from this are one and the same. And it's having that understanding, first and foremost, that everybody's struggles are a struggle. Be they big or small in your opinion, they're probably big to the person that's going through them. And I think part of the first step in understanding compassion is understanding each other and just giving each other the benefit of the doubt. You know, I have a close friend of mine who recently moved out here to LA, and if you're unfamiliar with it, we do have a large homeless population, and it is a big problem. It's something that we've tried to address, but it's unfortunate because it's a multifaceted issue, and primarily it has to do with mental health issues or mental disabilities, and people kind of fail to recognize that. So when I was having this conversation with this close friend, they said that they feel kind of nervous when a homeless person comes up to them asking for money or just asking for support. And I understand that. You know, I don't think homeless people always look the most presentable because they don't have access to basic needs such as like hygiene, you know, or a place to sleep. And of course, that's going to take a physical toll on someone. So, you know, if you're not used to that and people coming up to you, strangers coming up to you, I can understand how you'd be a little intimidated or a little scared. But what I don't agree with, and this is where I had an ongoing conversation with this friend, is that they're their decision or the best way they thought would help with this situation would be to ignore them, not to make eye contact, because they didn't know how to react or what to say. They didn't have cash on them. They can't help them. And they didn't know what to say. And personally, I don't agree with that, because I feel like as a human being, as part of the human experience, it's important to have others, not, I don't want to say validate your existence, but acknowledge your existence. And I feel that if you're down on hard times, and homeless people, whatever issue or whatever reason they are for being homeless, they understand that they are down on hard times. And if you're just out looking for help in any situation, I'm sure you can put yourself in that. If you were looking for help from a family member, from a friend, from whoever, and they don't even acknowledge that you're there, I think that would hurt a lot more, and that would make it worse in feeling. So when I was having this conversation with this friend, I told him that, I don't always carry cash, because honestly, if I do carry cash, I'm going to give it to people. So if I don't carry cash, I will acknowledge the homeless person and say, like, listen, I'm sorry, I don't have anything that I can give you right now. I've offered to buy a lot of food for homeless people. I've offered to have conversations if it's in the gas station to get them snacks. It's doing whatever it is that you can to help. And if you can't buy them anything, or you don't have any cash to afford to give to them, then it's just as simple as looking them in the eye and saying, I'm sorry, I don't have anything. I just personally, I think it's incredibly rude and disrespectful to not, acknowledge their existence. And I think that it's very important in building the first step of understanding each other, one another. And I'm hoping to do this on like a broader scale of things. I want to talk about a bunch of different things that I think are important in my life and just in the human existence. And the main one being compassion. And it just sucks. I see a lot of negativity, a lot of hate, a lot of pain out there in the world. And I'm just one person, so I can't really make a difference, but I can start, spreading the positivity or whatever it is that we're trying to do here. So I just want to encourage you guys, to exercise compassion, especially amongst your peers, but also amongst people you don't consider your peers, because that's when I think you really start to grow, is when you start to delve outside of your comfort zone and you start to help people and start to interact with people who you normally wouldn't. So, I went through a lot of stuff so quick, so I'm actually very happy about this. But, if there's anything that I can encourage you guys to have, is it's truly compassion for one another. It's going to check in here and see how everybody's doing. What is going on? We've got 6 donations. See what's going on here. Plainview, thank you. Books in the Moon, Havhara, Jesus Christ of the Forest, Betsy Maddox, and Joel. Thank you guys for your donation. Really appreciate that. So this is something that I think is important. Compassion is something that I feel like it's a skill that we all need to develop, and it's not something, some people are innately born with it, and they can feel, you know what I mean? And that's just, it's their natural gift. I think some people need to exercise and they need to practice it in order to, become aware of other people's struggles. And because sometimes, the problems in our own individual lives can seem so big that they tend to take away from the human experience, which is a collective experience. And that's all of us experiencing this life together. And, I try to think about different ways to put it. I always use the same metaphor, is that I don't really look at charity as charity, because I know that as someone who is prideful and as somebody who, if you need help, it's taken me a long time to accept when I need help, and I think that someone who is prideful, and they would not want to be receiving charity because they don't feel like they need it. So the way I look at charity, or the philanthropic, or the act of giving back, whatever you want to call it, is a social investment. And I consider it a social investment because I believe in the betterment of my community, of my peers. In any way I can do that, with financial resources, emotional resources, or any resources that I have at my disposal. If I can make my neighbors stronger, healthier, and happier, I make my community stronger, healthier, and happier. And that's just a belief that I have, that I'd like to start, throwing out to you guys, because I feel like if we all start thinking like this, we all start taking actions from a place of love and compassion and understanding for one another, I feel like the world will be all right. I'm not here to talk about a political agenda. I'm not going to tell you how a country should be run, but I think that people who are in decision-making powers need to be making decisions from the heart. There's a whole world of business out there. You got to make decisions with your brain as well. But I think if you take into consideration empathy and compassion, I feel like, we can make this world a better place. So there's so many great things out there, that I think if you open your mind to positivity, you will receive positivity. If you're only focused on negativity and gossip, I think that's all that you're going to see. And, it's just... it's important to spread positivity. It's important to be positive because, I had an interesting conversation. I had a great dinner actually the other day with TJ, Francis, and their oldest daughter, or TJ and Francis's oldest daughter. Lexi's actually their oldest daughter. So with Dee Dee, she just turned 13. So it's crazy because, I remember when Dee Dee, when she was like 2, and I'm seeing her grow up into a very beautiful young woman. It's scary. But we had such a good conversation about the importance of happiness, and that's not to this conversation when it comes out across, and I'm working on it, and I apologize if I do offend anyone in the way it comes out. I do